What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the English Prescription. Joined today by Shane, and we got a good one scheduled for tonight. Can't wait to talk to our guest. A couple things. There's a social paddle on the 15th of December at Lake Natoma. If you guys want to go out there and talk to the Headwaters guys and maybe do a little fishing out there and a little fun community event. I won't be there. I'll be with family, but that's going on. Don't forget Headwaters Venture Company for all your kayak needs. Whatever you need, give Brian a shout. Harley or Steve-O down here in Rancho Cordova. But without further ado, we are joined tonight by this young man, which I'm sure everybody knows who he is. I'm sure everybody knows who he is.
The young gun.
Yeah, one of the most popular, youngest fishermen out here, Luke Johns. I'll bring him in. What's up, Luke?
What's up, guys? How's it going,
Luke?
Good.
Good, man. How are you?
Doing great. Doing good to be on here.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on, dude.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on with us.
Yeah.
A couple guys fish out of plastic boats,
Yeah.
Well,
hey, that's
not you.
That's where I started. I got a little experience in the kayak game.
Oh, nice. What's your kayak experience like?
So that was kind of what I had basically grew up with for bass fishing. So a little bit of background. I grew up bass fishing game when I kind of fell in love with it, but there was not a whole lot to bass fish where I live, or to trout fish. So hopped to basically just fishing little local ponds, and my family just had some, go kayaks, and I would throw those in my dad's truck and make him drag me to them, and I'd throw that thing in just random neighborhood ponds and go fish around and catch fish. And so I did that for probably 2 years before I got into the boat side of it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, the kayak was a big jump for me, right? Because I fished a lot of the same thing, local fishing streams and shore fishing the ocean with my dad growing up for trout and then ocean fishing. And I always wanted to get off the bank, and that was my transition. Was an big old Jackson big rig thing, weighed a ton, and I was paddling that big old thing around everywhere, and it was like a barge trying to go anywhere with that thing.
Yeah,
but it was nice to get. It was cool to be mobile finally,
Yeah.
So it was good. Sorry, John's running a little late.
Oh, all good.
Yeah. So it was cool to be able to do that, and then transition to the kayak I have now, and motors and electronics improved, just like the boat game. Live scope on the kayak. It's a mini bass boat now at this point.
Yeah, it's been seriously impressive to watch where the kayak industry has gone with kayaks. Like I said, when I started in a kayak, it was a Costco bare bones kayak, and now I see the guys pulling up to the ramp with their kayaks, and I'm like, dude, your kayak is like cost of my boat probably. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, you get asked that a lot. Guys will be like, "How much you pay for that?" It's like, dude, don't worry about it. Like, if you gotta ask too much, or well, why don't you just go buy a bass boat? Well, because this is what I want to fish out of,
Yeah. It's a lot easier to store than a bass boat. I'll say that.
Wow. And I keep saying it's one of those things like James figuring out now. Like every time you take a boat out, you got to worry about, okay, what's gonna be the issue today? Is there something that's just not gonna jive in the kayak? What's the worst you got? Your motor doesn't work or battery issue. Like it's not another $800 air injector or whatever.
Yeah. $100 in fuel every time you go to the lake. So
yeah, exactly.
That's the one thing that I haven't been out with it running top notch for yet, but the few times I have been out, I don't think I've burned that much fuel. But I'm not one to fish a spot for 5 minutes, say, no, it's not here, and then go run 20 minutes that way, and turn around and run 30 minutes back the other way, and be like, I should have gone back that way, and another 30 minutes back the other way.
That's a great question for Luke. I mean, like, how long do you spend at a spot before you say, hey, you know what, it's time, it's not jiving, we got to go?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question too, because it's so variable. So, I mean, there are 100% times I throw the trolling motor down, and I mean, I'll make 10, 15 casts and be like, I'm not feeling it, and I leave. And there's other times where, you know, you're sitting there for an hour or two, and you're just, you have the feeling where you know it's going to happen. I think it all boils down to just your confidence level in that spot. And basically, for me, it's a lot of gut feeling. I fish a lot just off the gut too, especially in the tournament setting. So a lot of the times it's literally, I have the gut feeling that I need to stay, especially now with the introduction of Live Scope. I know we've obviously had it for a couple of years, but using that and utilizing it to basically give you the cues of, are the fish still here, first of all, and then do they look active enough to where, you know, it's maybe just a rotation of baits, or, you know, you got to let the water temp warm up or whatever it might be. So that's helped a lot in actually, you know, making a more of an educated guess on whether you should stay or leave.
Yeah. So if you're in a spot, right, like, and you catch, say you're throwing, let's say you're throwing a jig, right? You catch 3 or 4 fish in that spot, and the bite dies down. Do you follow up with a couple different baits before you leave, or you just say, they're off that bite, I'm out?
Yeah, so that all depends usually. So in a tournament setting like that, usually that'll play back into what I've figured out previously in the practice, or, you know, if it's a multi-day tournament. A lot of the times I will have a rotation in there. You know, it really depends on what I'm going for in that spot. So obviously a lot of the spots, or not spots, but some of the spots I fish are just, they're literally limit spots maybe. You know, I might roll catch 5, they shut down. I'm like, all right, that's all I wanted out of here. You know, I'm off to the next one. But if it's you know, this is a really popular thing, especially on like Clear Lake, where you have those fish that move in and out, and you know there's constant fish kind of like funneling through a little creek mouth or something. That's really a spot. I mean, you see guys do it all the time. You sit there all day long, and it's a baits, or it's literally just a timing deal where, you know, jig might not get bit for the next 20 minutes, but I'm going to keep it in my hand because I know when, you know, a little wolf pack moves through, they're going to eat it. So it can definitely go both ways, but I usually do have a rotation of some sort, especially if I'm fishing like shin bait. I'll have something where I could slow down kind of in the lulls, you know, like a Senko, something like that, throw it around, maybe pick up 1 or 2 more.
Yeah. Nice. So it's off season now, and you've got your schedule out. So let's backtrack. So you're fishing the BAM Super 60 next year, right?
Yep, definitely.
And then what else do you have on your plate? What are you looking to compete in next year?
So I think next year I'm going to try to do maybe a couple of the BAM Pro-Am events. So not the Pro Tour, obviously in addition to the Pro Tour, but maybe squeeze a couple of those in. I really enjoy the fact that they no entry fee championship for a boat at the end of the year. So if I can squeeze the 3 in to try to qualify for that, I'm definitely going to try to make that work schedule. And then I love the WAN Bass events too. So definitely want to fish the Clear Lake Open, maybe do Shasta. And then sadly with the scheduling of the BAM Pro Tour and the WAN Basses, I can make the US Open this year again, which sucks because that's one of my favorite events. But that's a fun one. Nice. Just in general, those WAN Basses, because it's the shared weight. So if you are going to have a co-angler on the boat, it's always a lot more fun when you guys are fishing. I know some people like fishing for their own fun. Just the vibe in the boat is a lot better. We fishing together, working to both catch a limit, because otherwise, you know, at the end of the day, somebody's disappointed, whether it's the co or the pro. Whoever doesn't catch them better than the other guy, is usually kind of sad. So unless you guys both have phenomenal days, which happens, but yeah.
Yeah, I really want to fish one I want to go into it as a co. I'm not ready to go hop into something like that, But it's just, I was looking at them. I wanted to do them last year, and I realized they're right in the middle of the week. I'm like, dude, that just sucks because, we've got family vacations planned, and we had other things planned. And I was like, dude, I can't squeeze another 4 days off of work here, 3 days off of work there, And then it's like, is the pro going to get pissed off I didn't pre-fish it at all? And, it's like, does that matter as a co? Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so from my perspective too, I mean, definitely if I was gonna hop into anything as a co-angler, I would probably hop into the Juan Basses just for the aspect that it's shared weight. Your pro wants to help you. They want you to catch fish, so they're always a lot more open with the information they share. And on top of that, I will say, this might be a biased opinion, but I will say if your pro is upset that you didn't practice, then that's a him problem because he should have fish on lock. So he shouldn't be too upset if you don't practice. I always, I tell my co's, I just tell them what to bring. And if they practice, great, they might have some confidence in a bait, but that's about the only thing. I mean, as a co-angler, you pretty much already know, your 5 or 6 baits you're probably bringing anyway. So that practice part isn't too important.
So you're on the pro side. You got the boat and everything. So what is the etiquette as a co? What should a co bring? Like how much tackle should they have with them? 5 rods max. Like what would you suggest for those guys that might want to hop in and do that?
Yeah, no. I did the co-angling for like 5 or 6 years too. So I've got a good hold on this thing. But I would really recommend if you're getting into the co-angler side, pack light, but bring your essentials. Obviously, bring all your own terminal tackle, all that kind of stuff. As far as baits go, don't try not to overload yourself. I really never mind how much a co brings as long as he his back locker or by his feet. The biggest thing that I notice is just when guys bring too much stuff and it dampens like how they can perform and just how the boat, kind of maneuvers. Not top speed or anything like that, but if the dude's got a pile of stuff laying next to him and he's constantly, trying to untangle his rods and stuff, that's like the telltale sign where I'm like, maybe this dude brought a little bit too much. I'm always a person too, as a pro, like if you need a Senko, you need a jig, a spinner bait, whatever you want in my boat, you could take whatever you need. I want you to catch fish, especially in those shared weight ones. So I always open up the lockers. I'm like, if you want anything out of it, grab it. Just if you do that, just catch them on it. Cause we're working as a team here. So I'm always very open with that, but I just say, don't pack too much stuff, bring your tools, and then, also bring the right gear, whether it's rain gear, stuff like that. That's the big one. I see the co-anglers always miss out, like the cold weather events.
Sure.
They're not prepared on the cold weather gear. I've had some co-anglers have some pretty miserable days just because, they're wet at 8 a.m. So that's something you should definitely invest in.
Well, that's something
that they need to pay attention.
They need to pay attention to the damn weather and say, hey, it's going to rain. Maybe I should bring my rain gear. Like, we're all adults. Like, dude, like, your pro is not your mom and tell you, did you pack your hot lunch? Did you get your rain gear? You're like, this time and we're going,
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And bring a life jacket too. I always carry a spare one because I've had a couple co's forget them, but don't forget your kit. Yeah, I was actually at Shasta. Go ahead.
So I did that bonehead move. I fished that Veterans Benefit tournament this Veterans Day. I had everything ready to go. I was like, all right, don't forget my life jacket. I get down we get to the ramp, I hop in the truck with him. He's like, hey, your jacket? I was like, oh my God. I'm a kayak guy. I'm always wearing a stupid life jacket. It's like, how did I forget it? Like, thank God I got a spare one in the boat.
There's nothing worse like a couple couple trips back, I walked all the way down the Maloney's ramp. Now, if you know anything about Maloney's, freaking ramps are longer than shit. And I get all the way down there, and I realized I left my life vest up at the truck.
Yeah.
So I had to walk all the way back up. Man, nothing sucks more than that.
It's not so rough for young guys like Luke, who's got like the knees are all in their prime, and
Yeah. Hit a light jog up the ramp.
It's an old
ramp,
it's an old fat guy issue. Oh man, Johnny, welcome, bud. I'm glad you're back.
Johnny.
Thanks, man. Thanks,
How you
man.
feeling, big guy?
Good, man.
How you doing?
Good. Thanks.
Good.
Good, nice. Yeah, so you're doing BAM, Wombass, and then a couple of the pro tours. So you've got your schedule. You kind of know what you're fishing. So what are you doing now in the off season? I know you're working a bunch and whatnot, but what do you do to prep to be successful next year? What are your few key things that you can share?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's quite a few different things I try to do in the off season. So first one that I always do every off season is kind of just do a major tackle, whether it's throwing SD, reorganizing, soft plastic bins, all that. Ensure that I'm absolutely fully geared at the start of the season. Obviously, just like every other person, I'm buying tackle all throughout the year. Have a majority of what I need, especially the essentials before, because it's real easy to get caught up with things, and then you realize you don't have the spool of 16-pound line you need or something like that. So I try to get all that stuff pre-organized and just ready to at the beginning of the year. And then the next one I do, it's obviously around research for all these places that I'm going. So one of the fun things with the BAM Pro 2 is we get to some kind of different lakes that maybe a lot of us have before. So a lot of the times I'm doing my Google Earth research, watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, just trying to kind of absorb information about these fisheries as possible. Another thing I'll do is I'll fire up the graphs in the boat in the backyard and just go to I'm looking at and look at the topography of them, try to kind of almost like pre-fishing. I'm basically looking for what I think would be high areas and kind of making some preliminary waypoints before I even show up to these places. That way, if I find something that works early, I might already have 2 or 3 waypoints that are similar before my pipe goes in the water. That really helps cut down on a lot of the practice time if you kind of already, or if you have an understanding of what your lake sets up like or river for your fishing. So I do a lot of that. And then
so
one of the things
before you hop on, before you jump off of that, you're a Garmin guy. Mm-hmm. So you're using Navionics, or the Garmin boating app now, Navionics, whatever it is. But are you comparing those maps with, say, like Sea Maps and Lake Master? Like, are you checking all the different ones to see if like maybe this one's got like a little different sneaky spot that you might not have seen on your Garmin maps? Are you going that far in detail? Yeah,
I mean, I would definitely recommend call. I have done a little bit of that. Generally, the Navionics isn't for me. Don't miss too much on those things, but yeah, I'll do a little for sure. And the other big one too to throw in there was that Google Earth, because obviously you get a satellite image, so you can actually what the bank looks like on those contours. And one of the really great California with our fluctuating water levels is you could literally see spots that matter by the time you go to those lakes. Sure. So I use that a lot, and that really helps me cut down on a lot of the practice time, a lot of the guesswork. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then
right.
Yeah. Oh, go.
Do you overlay the Google Maps on top of the Navionics or the Lake Masters?
Usually I'll literally just have like Google pulled up on my phone, and I'll just kind of like hold my phone next to me and then be on my map and kind of just double hand it and do it that way. Yeah, I haven't got too fancy where I'm actually in it, so I don't even know how to do that, to be quite honest, if it's possible. So yeah.
Yeah, a lot of guys use iPads and stuff like that. You can do it on iPads.
Oh yeah.
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 Your phone would do the same.
Now, do you mark your waypoints using Google Earth and transfer them over to your Garmin units, or?
No, I'll usually just mark
Like if you-
everything straight into the unit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I've
mean,
done it a few times.
yeah.
I've done it a few times where I've gone and looked at Google Earth and found some trees or tires or whatever on Google Earth and marked it and then transferred it over. But next thing you know it, I've just got so many freaking waypoints.
Yeah.
One thing I don't know how I did it, but there was a way I was able to do it through Active Captain. I was able to pull up like a bunch of saved waypoints I had on the computer, and somehow they all got transferred to the Garmin, and now they're all on my Active Captain deal. And I'm like, I don't remember how it all happened, but I've got waypoints everywhere now. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I've got, yeah.
So
So I was,
So tell us, how is it working for Fisherman's Warehouse? Do you actually take money home, or do you just buy stuff and just donate it all back to Fisherman's Warehouse?
Yeah. Yeah. So I work actually a warehouse / office. So so I don't work in one of the Fisher House stores. But yeah, I do spend quite a bit of money on tax. So I'm actually a buyer for Tackle Tech, distribution side of Fisherman's Warehouse. So I work with a lot of these companies, and so I kind of get the sneak peek on all the new stuff coming out, and then I obviously get the first dibs as soon as it comes into the warehouse. So I will say I do spend more than I should on tackle, and it's hard. I mean, stuff comes in, and I mean, I get first shot at all the colors, whether it's the limited stuff from our JDM stuff we got or whatever. And it's really hard to hold the credit card back some of the times, but it's nice. I mean, I do get the discount, so that helps a little bit. I'm not spending too much.
So you work
what
for
he's saying
Tackle.
is if you can't find that bait, if you can't find that bait at the shop, it's probably in Luke's garage.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's
if we got them in and they're already sold out, we have a couple packs of them.
Yeah, go down there, try to find something. I was like, I know they gotta have it. I'm like, oh my God, where'd it go?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I walked into the one.
Yeah, I was thinking about working for one. Yeah, go ahead.
John. Oh, I say I walked.
I'm just thinking if I worked at one, I'd end up spending all my money at the store. So yeah, I'd be losing money if I worked at one. It cost me money to work there.
Yeah,
for sure.
I have a bunch of tackle.
Definitely, I got the tackle gene. So I've got more than I need.
It's a good thing. At least you don't have to go too far to order everything for you for next year because you're right there.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Was your first win over at Maloney's, or was there one before that?
Yeah, so that was my front of the boat pro level win. I had been lucky enough to win a couple in high school and in college. Stuff like this was the first time stepping up to the front of the boat was that Wild West on back in 2020.
And you caught all those fish cranking, huh?
Yeah, I caught a majority of them, and then I also had a spot that I was throwing a Senko rig, completely different part of the lake, but I did work that in a little bit. But yeah, that crankbait was definitely the deal for me that week.
Mudlines,
yes, and then there were some lake that just had dirtier water than the rest. So I targeted those two. But, did hit a couple mud lines, but it was a lot easier. We didn't have a whole wind on, I think, a couple of the days. I think one of the days was pretty windy, some really good mud lines. And then 2 of the days, less wind. And I basically just stuck into some areas that had dirtier water than the rest of the lake.
Yeah.
So what boat do you fish out of?
Fish out of the C5.
Okay. Good boat.
Yeah, great boat. I've had
yeah.
a couple speeders so
About
far,
the
and so
golden-
I've just been keeping with them.
Yeah.
You,
So what's
you heard
the,
about the golden mussel, right? The golden mussel.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I've been hearing all about the golden mussel stuff. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where that goes with all the lakes and what kind of restrictions they put us. But hopefully, it just doesn't get blown up too out, and we still all get to go fishing.
Yeah. Well, we can. We always.
Yeah. You-
Worst case scenario is have the Delta to fish.
and then too, just a hot water source, and then go and spray down on people's boats. I mean, each ramp should have something like that already. They should.
Yeah, that's probably what they're. It's probably what
Even
they're
at
doing
the
right
Delta.
now. If they're, I'm sure Comanche's working on. They already have a decontamination station at South Shore. These lakes that are closing ramps, like Barry's got one right now at Steel Canyon. They're working on putting in more. So it's just going to be a matter of when they get the stuff in, and then hopefully they all recognize each other's bans. So if you've been decontaminated or quarantined and you've been banned here, you can go there and do the same thing.
Yeah,
That would
Yeah.
be a very simple, easy way to do it. And I hope to God the state does it. I didn't want to get into that too much because it's all speculation at this point. But, if you got, those of us that are concerned, write your local congressman, tell them, you want these lakes open, express your concerns, ideas, whatever. Let's do what we can do as our part as anglers to make sure they don't shut the water down.
100%.
That's what we can do. Jay said he wants to know what kind of shampoo you use. You got the best hair of anyone else on the coast.
I actually, I can't remember the exact brand, but yeah, I'm trying to work on a Pantene sponsorship for next something. I think that would look real good on the side of the
There you
boat.
go.
Yeah.
Hands on the shoulders.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
They gotta have a little extra money or something they could throw at it. So
Yeah.
hope we'll
yeah.
line one of those up.
Jay's just jealous. He doesn't have any hair anyway. He's like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Well, he has hair, it just ain't on the top of his head.
It's all
Yeah.
on his back.
Yeah, it's all down his back.
Back and patches. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, anyway, so you got mapping, you got tackle prep.
So
And then
I
we'll
don't
go
ask
from
this
there.
or not. This next year, you're going to fish BAM and what else?
Yeah. So it's gonna be BAM, WAN Bass, and some of the pro-ams as well. So those 3. Fill in with a little bit of extras every here and there. We'll see what we can fit into the schedule. But the practice, like you said, on overlay the maps, do a lot of map read. For that, I kind of moved in obviously to the pre-practice phase. So with the BAM Pro Tour side of things, all those lakes are days before we get there, and then obviously we go into it with no practice. Having kind of a lay of the lake and actually getting to go see it, maybe do a little bit of that kind of stuff, is definitely an important part if the lakes aren't. So one of them this year is going to be Don Pedro for me. I haven't been there a whole lot in the past. Spent a couple days on that lake, but it was years ago. Find a weekend over the winter, get down there, and just basically do a whole lot of looking. The pre-practice stuff, attracted by the actual fishing side of things, just use a lot of, side imaging, looking around, just seeing kind of and marking those waypoints. That way, when I know, when I kind of get keyed into a bite, I can basically just, I can already have a baseline of other areas that are similar to that. A lot of mapping, and then obviously a lot of that side imaging, and just figure out where these fish are setting up, and then use that rolling into the tournament. But as far as
Nice.
prep for the tournaments go, I think that's it right there. I pretty much do as much as I can on the research side in the days on the lake to go scout around before it goes off limits. That's
Okay. So we're gonna take a quick pause. Shane's got a basketball game to go to for his son. Shane, you got the names. Let's do the giveaway, and then you can get to your Giant Suns basketball game.
All right, keep talking. I'll have it ready in just a second.
So, yeah, guys, we're gonna give away the. I left them in the shop again, but a bunch of X-Zone muscleback craws and the Adrenaline Bug Juniors. There's like 9. I think I got like 9 packs of them. So, but yeah,
You know
what?
with that 30-day off limits, I think it's less expensive that way instead of like pre-fishing. It opens up on Monday and you can pre-fish all week long. 30 days off limits. You could go there one weekend and 2 weekends. You don't have to take any time off of work or, and then right before the tournament, everybody's basically on the same level. No one's been there all week long beating up all the fish. So, really that 30-day off limits actually saves you a little bit of money.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah, we have an off limits period. I like it. It basically levels the playing field out, like you said. And then also, yeah, you're not spending the money. And one of the other things that I really enjoy is those fish are fresh when we get there. Haven't been beat up in practice by, a bunch of boats for 2, 3, 4. So it's nice. You can go to your spots, nobody else has been there, and you just more free that way. And it's also, I think it's fun showing up, basically just going kind of off the cuff and seeing the conditions for what they are that day and just fish however you want to fish that day. I think that really separates guys that are really good, like natural anglers practice to kind of piece together a body of water.
Yeah. It's nice because like our kayak circuit, we've got off limits that Monday through Friday, so we show up Saturday and fish, which is good because you don't have everybody out there beating up on the fish the day before, and then you've got a week to rest. It's 5 days to rest, but it's nice to be able to do that because you can go there, you can fish the tournament Saturday. If it's a long drive, plan for the weekend, fish it again on Sunday, and then go home. It's pretty cool. I like the way BAM's doing things.
100%.
So we were talking about Super 60, but you pretty much. What's the schedule? What's the schedule for that one?
Yes, so we start out in I believe we start in April at Don Pedro, and then this is getting dicey now. I got a schedule right here on my phone.
Yeah. Okay.
But so we got 4 recent events for that, and then obviously we have our championship. So I was a little bit wrong. So end of March we start at Don Pedro for the Pro Tour, and then in May we're going to be down at Lake Mojave at the beginning of May, the 2nd through the 4th, and then looks like we go all the way to August, and we get our Columbia River event at the kind of end of August, and then we're in the beginning of October, and then in November we will have our Chamber Lake. So get a good selection of kind of every different kind of fishery you kind of think of on the West Coast. I guess other than a spotted bass fishery. Well, Pedro is kind of a spotted bass fishery, but yeah, you get a variety there.
That's cool because it's super different. It's not all the same lakes over and over again. And that's even noticed that this year, right? You guys did a few different ones, and it's. I think it's refreshing for the anglers to be able to fish lakes that aren't the normal. Every stop, every tour goes there, and you fish this one, and then you go back there again next year. But it might be like a month or two later, and then
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
cool. They're bringing you so much, giving you guys so much diversity to fish.
Yeah, exactly. That's how a lot of the series go. It's Delta, Shasta, and Clear Lake every year. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the
Orville.
Delta, Shasta, and Clear Lake are always super fun fisheries to go to. I enjoy fishing them, especially Clear Lake. But being able to see some new bodies of water. I mean, we went to Lake Almanor this year. That's a kind of slept on smallmouth fishery, and then obviously the After Bay. That is a super fun fishery. I mean, it's small, so you can't really do it with the amount of boats we have now, but it's really fun. You can fish a whole lot of different ways there, and there's fish in that place.
Yeah. All right, Shane, go ahead and draw the name.
Okay, so we got Mike Reagan, James Robertson, David Morris, and Raymond Gams, and everything's in here. I'm just gonna pull a name out. And it looks like Mike Reagan.
Mike. Okay.
Mike Reagan. I know Mike. I'll reach out to him.
Okay. I don't know Mike.
Yep.
That's good.
So,
Well,
thanks, guys.
Yeah.
John, Luke, John, thank you so much for being on here. Johnny, you take care. James, I'll see you later, buddy.
all right,
All right,
talk to you
man.
later, Shane.
Of course.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have fun.
Bye.
Good luck. Good luck, Connor.
Yep.
I've never met somebody that made Shane look so short. His son is a
Yeah, Luke,
giant.
I live real close to Don Pedro, and the March, beginning of the May, depending on the weather, there'll be some big girls up spawning, or there'll be the pre-spawn fish.
Oh, yeah.
So, and during that time of the year, there's gonna be some baits come in, and the weird thing is you might find them less than 3 feet, and you can find them in 16, 70 feet. It's gonna be it's gonna be dependent on the weather. It's gonna be going on, what's gonna work. And there's areas with trees, and those fish love to suspend in those trees right before they spawn. You throw the right bait across their head and eat them. So yeah, I like something else. Of fish like to suspend too at that time of year. Yeah, I've done real well throwing big baits over tops of trees and 50 feet of water. So, it's, and then again, fishing for the bedfish too, but yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's big. It's a big lot.
Yeah. I mean, that's
a lot of stuff to fish.
Yeah. I've been there
So
a couple times, and it looks like a fishery. And I mean, I like that suspended fishing, and I mean, I do like bed fishing too. So I mean, it kind of sets up in my wheelhouse of things that I like doing.
Right.
Nice.
Mhm.
What's some of your favorite? What's some of your favorite things you like to do like right now? Like if you're going out to wherever, what do you have tied on? What are your go-to wintertime techniques?
Yeah. I guess it depends a little bit on the fish. Kind of keep it similar to Folsom. That's basically almost like fish in winter, just because it's accessible, real close to me. But this time of year, really like fishing a lot of the basically minnow style baits. Not necessarily just your jig head minnow, but obviously stuff like an A-rig, single swim baits. Throw a lot of that kind of stuff. And something that's gotten real popular for me over the last couple of years, especially with forward-facing sonar, is throwing a rip bait on fishing. I mean, it's such a fun way to catch them, and with forward-facing sonar, you can really tune how those fish are actually reacting, all the way down to like that specific fish that's following your bait. You can change and it's just fun being able to basically watch a fish react in real time and seeing what triggers them to eat. So that's definitely one of the things I've been doing a lot of. And then I do a lot of kind of practicing in the off too, just trying to learn new techniques. And one of the things that I've really focused the last kind of year, and that I'm going to put a lot more time into this winter is throwing that jig head minnow. I know, I mean, obviously it's super huge. That's what a lot of the tournaments are getting one on, but I think it's a little bit underutilized out here coast right now. So I'm really been trying to kind of hone in that and figure out all the little intricacies of it. So I'm going to spend a lot of the time throwing that, seeing what I can do with it.
Nice. Yeah. The jerkbait and Folsom was so frustrating last Thursday. Man, I have so many fish come up and they look at it. They'd come up hot, get to it, and then you're working it the same, and they just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
Got a whole wolf pack of them chasing it. I reel it back in. There's like one tiny scale stuck on my back hook. I'm like, I didn't feel a fish hit it or nothing. I'm like, I don't get this. This is pissing me off so bad.
Yeah, that's definitely something with the forward facing. It could be a little bit frustrating because, I mean, like I was out there throwing the other day, and I mean, it's absurd how many fish are in that you would have never known come up to look at your bait, and they come up and they'll track it for 10, 20 feet, and they just don't commit. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword where it's awesome seeing. It's great to know where fish are, what they might react to, but when they're just not eating, it can be super frustrating.
No, for sure. And Folsom's one of those lakes where Folsom's a special place, man. It's either on or it's off, or it's crazy. So I've had some really good days out there, and I've had some really terrible days out there. And it's like it can be the same conditions, same water levels, and you're doing the same thing. And it's like, I don't get it. Why today and not yesterday?
Yeah. No, that lake is very. I mean, it's. I can tell you firsthand. I've fished it for a lot of years, and it's the same thing every time. I mean, you go out and you might rope them one day, and the next day change, and the fish are gone. They've moved. They're on something else. But that's one thing that I really like about living next to it is that it really helps you practice on relocating fish and just fishing that specifically, because it's not a lake where every single time you go out and fish the same. The spots are always changing, especially with the water level fluctuating. It just keeps you on your toes and kind of makes you a better fisherman in that sense.
Yeah.
I consider those spot gypsies.
Yeah.
The spotted bass are gypsies.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Got a buddy out there yesterday said the Browns Ravine ramp's getting a little short now, even compared to when we were out there on Thursday. I was like, man, he's like, it's changed that much since we were there not even a week ago.
Yeah. They like to drop it pretty quick until, we might start getting water back into it probably come January. So, it's definitely not as low as it's going to get yet. Yeah,
it's crazy how quick they drop it. And then I was like, it didn't even fluctuate when we had a lot of big rain come in. I figured maybe they'll let a little bit of water stay. I don't know if they're just, I don't know why they keep it down so low.
Yeah, they use it. I mean, they're the Folsom's kind of the only full lake for the Sierras, so they usually will not let any water stay into it until basically like mid or end of January. Because that was the same thing I thought at first. Was I saw the big rain come through, we got a ton of water coming in, and they just opened the gates up and let it out. So, yeah.
It's a fun lake though. If you guys haven't fished it yet or want a good challenge, Folsom's definitely a good place to learn to get frustrated, but be rewarded when you find them.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. So, though, I will say spring on Folsom gets pretty nutty sometimes, and it really kind of shows what its potential is that time of year. On a high water year, you get up, fish the willows, fish the bushes, and then you'd be surprised at what lives in that lake compared to this fall winter time. Usually quite a bit tougher.
What's your biggest you've pulled out of Folsom so far?
Biggest one I got was just a touch over 7. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's some big fish there.
Oh, yeah.
You know what's crazy? You always
Yeah, I know.
hear we talk about the big swim bait bite up there, and it's like, dude, I just don't see. I haven't been to a lot of that lake, so I've been out of the kayak for so long, but it's like I just don't see the fish that I'm seeing want to commit to a 9-10 inch bait, you know.
Yeah, you can get on a bit of a swim bait bite there, but yeah, I hear a lot of guys talk about kind of the heyday of the swim baits in Folsom Lake back in the earlier 2000s, and it was just ridiculous what guys were catching out there on them. But those fish definitely got pretty wise to that style bait. You really got to have basically the perfect conditions to go out there and catch them on something big now. Smaller glide bait, stuff like that, do catch a lot of fish on that, but the big soft baits are definitely a lot harder to kind of key in on where those fish are and when they want to eat it.
Yeah, so the bait fish there always seems so small. Like every time they're spitting up the shad or smelt or whatever it is, it's tiny.
Pond smelt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of that pond smelt in there, and those things are, they're 2 to 4 inches max. Real slender body too, obviously. So yeah, definitely if you're matching the hatch, you're not. I mean, those big trout style baits aren't too common where you're finding those fish that are really key on that.
Yeah. I was like Thursday, I was dropping, a flutter spoon through the bait balls that have the active bass in them. It's like just to try to separate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not get a single fish to even look at a flutter spoon. And I was like, man.
Yeah.
I was dumbfounded. I'm like, usually get a couple of them to go, but they didn't want it, and it wasn't a big spoon at all. And I was kind of shocked that even that would scare them away.
Yeah, they definitely. Yeah, I noticed the same thing. I tried the spoon bite. It wasn't quite picking up yet. I think as that water temp drops just a little more, I think we're a little bit warm for them to really get on that spoon bite. But probably in the next couple of weeks, as this water temp keeps cooling down, that should get pretty good.
Because there's a couple of bait balls. I'm like, I dropped the jigging spoon in, and I'm like, dude, they can't see this in this ball of bait. Like, that's what I was trying to figure out something. Because the bait balls there right now are massive when you find them.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of bait in the
crazy.
lake. I mean, it's healthy right now. There's a lot of forage. So with that being said, I think those fish should be good, and we should see some really good weights this spring for sure.
Yeah.
Luke, do you find that those fish at Folsom are more shallow, less than 20 feet compared to deeper than 20 feet?
All
year long?
I have caught a lot of fish real shallow in that lake. Last year, January, I was fishing the New Year's tournament, and I was catching them feet of water. So there's definitely a lot of fish that just. But with that being said, though, on the flip side, there are a ton of fish out deep, and that's one of the ways I really like fishing is go out 30, 40 plus feet and pick those fish off. It's one of those lakes where you could basically fish whatever water depth you want almost all year round.
Right.
I've literally all year in every single kind of area on the lake.
Yeah, I remember some of my first experiences. I went up there in the middle of January. The water's like 47 in the morning, and you're throwing a little swim bait up, small little single swim bait up on the cobblestone banks, and you'd be catching fish in 5 feet of water.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And
then, it's kind of like fish don't. They'll live up shallow if there's something.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was kind of. I was back when I was really, really, really new to it, so it was interesting to see that now. You look back at it, and I probably wouldn't have really thrown that there nowadays, but not knowing what I was doing, hey, cool, got a fish at Folsom, So yeah. Anything else, John, Luke, or John? You guys, any more questions, John?
Let's see. You
No.
have Don
Freezing up.
Pedro, and then you had what other lake was it? Am I freezing up?
We're going to Lake Mojave for that, and then we've got Columbia River, Delta, and Clear Lake.
Mojave.
hmm
So have
That's
you
a
been
good
to the
schedule.
Columbia River?
Yeah, I've been there. I think
Have
3,
you been?
4 times now.
Oh, okay.
That's a bucket
Isn't that
list,
like
dude.
a
I want to go there one day.
12-hour drive?
It is about a 12-hour drive, but I would recommend to anybody who has the opportunity to get up there to go fish that place. It's one of the most fisheries I've ever been to as far as the quantity of smallmouth and then also the quality. I mean, it's pretty fun when you go out there and you're catching 40 or 50 a day and a lot of 2 to 3 pound plus smallmouth mixed into that.
Why do you think Folsom doesn't have that? There's the bait and there's the habitat for them. Why do we not have the big smallies in Folsom?
Cycle factors there. I think one of the biggest ones was the introduction of spotted bass. They outcompete those smallmouth pretty good, especially just because they kind of, I mean, when you got largemouth and smallmouth in a lake, the largemouth live up shallow, the smallmouth out deep. They don't really cross compete on their food sources, but those spots all the same way the smallmouth do, and they just outcompete them playing it. And then on top of that, the amount of water fluctuation that Folsom gets is really just difficult for those fish to kind of adapt to. I mean, you even or you did see it kind of with the largemouth over kind of like the earlier before 2017. We went through a lot of droughts, was down for a long time, and the largemouth population on that lake seemed to be distant. You just would barely ever catch a largemouth, and especially but with that higher water, it's came up. You get a lot more of the trees and bushes in the water, and those fish have better spawns, and it's a little bit better habitat for the largemouth. And I kind of think that with that fluctuating water, I mean, it's not good for anything. So I think that really hurt them. And then obviously, like I said, the spotted bass just they kind of just outrun those things.
Yeah, because I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's so much habitat at Folsom for the smallmouth that it could be a really good smallmouth fishery, which kind of sucks because that'd be fun.
Yeah, no, it used to be a lot better on the smallmouth side, and yeah, it's just gone downhill over the years. But I will say, every now and then I go out and I mean, I usually catch 1 or 2 smallmouth every trip, but I have seen a couple pretty good-sized smallmouth come out of there in the last. I think the ones that are in there are finally kind of starting to catch on, and they might. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll make a little bit of comeback over the next couple of years.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
A nice little local smallmouth fishery.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, Nick, I appreciate you coming on, John or Luke.
Yeah,
Both
of
you guys
course.
stand with the names.
Yeah. I know. I have 2 first names. Doesn't make it ezy, so I get it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And I got a co-host of John. Like, what the hell's wrong with me? No.
Yeah.
No, dude, I appreciate it, Luke. We'll touch back basis with you throughout the year if you want, and kind of see how your season's going, and just kind of follow you along. I wish you the best of luck next year. It's gonna be a fun season watching that
Best
Super 16
luck.
fold. And
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and yeah, anytime you guys want me to get back on, I'd be more than happy to. I appreciate you guys extending the invite out.
yeah, next week,
we'll have
guys.
to have you
it's-
bring some bait with you. All new stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll come on and
Yeah.
show some of the secrets. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, if
New
you're getting a
stuff.
bunch of good stuff into to the store, let us know. We can come on and you can do a little plug on what's new, what might be
Yeah.
coming down the pipe, little bait reveal.
Yeah.
Maybe get you paid to do a podcast by the store since you're working.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that would be a fun option for it.
That'd
Yeah,
be
I
really fun.
do get the sneak peek on a lot of new baits that are coming out. out. I know one for the California guys that a lot of guys have asked me about over the last years with the Yamamoto stuff is the Sand Show, and that one's anybody's seen a little bit of the teasers from Yamamoto. That's actually going to be coming out pretty. So keep your eye out for that thing if you're a fan of that.
They're coming back.
They're coming back. Yes. Yep.
Nice.
They will be back.
Dude,
yeah.
No.
So Damien and I were in Oklahoma fishing the.
No,
Bassmaster,
don't tell it. No.
What? So we were fishing, and there's a little Jimmy Houston's like outdoor store
Mhm.
On the road. We're like, oh, dude, we'll just hop by there. It was on the way back to the house, and we hop in there, and dude, they had like I can't remember how many bags are in there, and Damien's over there like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, dude,
Buy
they
them
don't make
all.
these anymore. Buy them. I'm like, I
Yep.
hadn't seen them before. He's like, I'll save you some bags. Go and get some. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I'm
know.
like,
I was just gonna say I got
Like-
buddies that hit me up just because they know I'm with Yamamoto, and they're like, "Yeah, can I get any sand shows?" I'm like, "Dude, no, you can't. Nobody can. They're not out anymore." But yeah, that's a cool one. It was a kind of a West Coast staple, so it's cool to see that thing make a comeback, and I'm sure you're gonna be happy when that starts hitting the shelves again.
Heck yeah, because I'm very because I only have like 4 packs of them. I'm pretty leery on where I want to throw it. I'm like, it's gonna be a tournament
Yeah.
bait. I'll set that aside. Don't want to throw those on a fun day of fishing.
Yep. Well, now you'll be
So-
stocked up. So
Yeah, heck yeah, that'd be cool, man. Well, let's let me know when you get some new stuff in, and we'll do a little bait reveal episode.
perfect.
Yeah.
Maybe
Perfect.
if you
Sounds
got some
great.
custom
on your
colors
next
coming
win.
in.
Yeah. We could.
What's that, John?
Your next win will
Go ahead.
interview you too, which is what
Next one. Oh
one
yeah,
at
for
the
sure.
Delta.
Perfect. Yeah. No. Maybe we could do something around the classic time. That's usually when I start sneak peeks for all the new stuff coming out at the classic. So that would be a good
Yeah.
time. Introduce a couple things and give the people what they want.
Heck yeah, that sounds
That's
good.
right.
Next week, guys, we have another familiar name. We're not necessarily all be talking about bass fishing next weekend or next week, but we got Austin Wilson coming on. He's doing a guide service now, hammering those steelheads. So we're talking a little bit about him, talk about his guide service, and see what's going on in the world of Austin.
You gotta love that guy.
Oh, I love Austin. He's great.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, y'all. I appreciate it. Thank you, Luke. That was fun.
Thanks, Luke.
And
Thanks for having me on.